In this video, we will see how to add density into our meshes to can sculpt into them. So basically you have three main options. Some are non-destructive, some are destructive. And I will show you the three and you will see the inconvenience and the advantages of these three methods. So let's see that for the first one, I will use the modifier. So here, I will just add a mesh monkey. And let's say I would like to add some details into this monkey and sculpt into this. So I have the possibility to add a generate here multi-resolution. A multi-resolution modifier here is a specific modifier for sculpt, and you can increase the level of subdivision, okay? Exactly the same as the subdivision surface. And let's say I will go into 4 subdivisions like this. Like this, I can start to have enough vertices to sculpt. So it's good sometimes to play with the wireframe value here and to see where you are really in terms of density. So what I like to use for that is just make a right click into this and put this into the quick favorites. Like this, when you use Q, you will find the wireframe option directly, and it's easy to just show the wireframe like that, okay? So here we have a level like this. I could add more, but let's keep it like that. Okay, good. You can see that you can add some subdivision with simple and linear in case you don't want a smooth subdivision, okay? You can unsubdivide if you need, and you have other options to reshape, for example, or to apply the base. So this can be interesting as well. And yeah, that's it. So here you can see that you have 3 levels. You have the level viewport, the same as the subdivision modifier. We have the render viewport here, and we have the sculpt. So this, for example, can be a level of 2 in the viewport, a level of 4 into the render. And now if I switch to sculpting, you can see that I will have the view like this. You can notice that if you turn around the geometry, you will have the level viewport that will appear, okay? So this is easy to understand. If you just increase that, after it will be easier. And you have a possibility for navigation to keep this, because sometimes you see you sculpt some details here, let's say, and when you turn around, you will not see the details anymore, okay? Because it gives you a fast navigation when you turn around the object. So what you can do to disable this, you can go into the options and remove the fast navigate. Like this, you see always the details that you did sculpt, okay? So here is basically the subdivision, the multi-res modifier. And let's say I start to sculpt something into, let's say this part over there. Okay, so I will create just a pattern like this. Okay, just easy, simple, just something simple like that. And okay, so I have this. And maybe I will change a little more the topology, the global topology. For this, a very good one is the grab tool. So I like to increase the size of it, and like this I can manage this. It's a little like the shape keys that if you remember well, maybe I would like to add some here, something like that, okay, and change really the topology to have something totally different. So I want bigger here, just like this, okay. So simple, I did create a new topology now. So the global shape of my entire model did change, okay? So now what I can do just with this is showing the result without the this one. And you can see in edit mode, we still have exactly the same topology as before. So it's the modifier that changes everything there. If you want, for example, to apply the base, you just go into here, into the shape, and apply the base. So what it will make, it will create a new basic one in edit mode. Okay, so without the modifier, it follows the geometry that I did create now. So bigger ears and everything. Okay, so sometimes it's important to manage this as well. So this one is a very powerful one. The cons of this method here, it's that when you want to really change the topology drastically, like adding something that doesn't exist into your model, you cannot. Like for example, here, I would like to add some horns, let's say, okay? So I will use this tool to add some horns. And when I do this, okay, after a moment, I will start to not have enough geometry here to make the horns the shape that I want. You can see that we don't have really a good definition over there. So it's limited by the number of subdivision that you have here, okay? You could add subdivision, but with little details, like if I want to add something here, for example, create a horn here, it will really not be possible over there because I don't have enough geometry. And even if I subdivide more time, it will not be possible. So it's a kind of limit of this method here, okay? You cannot really create the shape that you want. Or let's say, for example, you would like to create a bust of Suzanne and you would like to create something and create the neck maybe, or something like that, and starting to create the neck. At the moment, you will not have enough geometry in this neck to create really what you want to create, okay? So you will, okay, start to have a shape, but after a moment you see that you will not have enough details to continue with the shoulders or anything like that because it doesn't have enough geometry. By default, it's just a subdivision of the basic object, okay? So it will be okay to adding some details on a mesh that has already its global shape, okay? But not for changing drastically a shape like this. Because here, if I want, for example, to reshape, apply the base here, you can see that here we will have really low poly. So it will not be a good base mesh over here. Honestly, we don't have the same kind of the level of density here and here. So it will not be that good. So it's very good, this one, to play for that. Another limit of the multi-resolution, for in my experience, is where you want to add details and change this in edit mode. So for example, you change the number of vertices and of faces in edit mode, and let's say you would like to create a shape like this in edit mode. For example, let's create kind of horn over there, okay? So let's go here, and maybe we want to extrude that in both sides here. So I will make just an extrude and an alt S to have this kind of shape here. And with S, I will just change the shape of that. And then after, I would just add some loops to have enough density. So 5 loops here and 5 loops here. Like this, I'm sure to have exactly the same geometry. So here, you can see that we have already little problems here. We see that it didn't work well, and the geometry that we did add has some problems of normals and things like that. So sometimes if you are lucky with just smoothing, it can help you. But what I did experience with this, it's that usually it creates more problems after. So another limit is I don't recommend to add some geometry during the sculpting in edit mode, okay? create really the basic shape, and after add the subdivision for it. So it will help you to not have this problem. So that's it for this method of adding some geometry with the multi-res here. So it's not something that I would say it's not the a very good method if you want to be free with sculpting. Okay, so let's go now with another possibility, and for this we will go back in object mode, maybe remove the Suzanne that we had here, and I will show you another method with another monkey maybe. Okay, let's go with another monkey, and just to add some basic subdivision into my model to have enough for sculpting, I will add a subdivision surface like this, increase the level until I have something like that, and now okay, I'm good. I can apply this, and now I'm good for start sculpting into that object. So I come back into sculpt mode here. Good, so I will just apply this, and okay, I have already a level of subdivision that is interesting. Let's say I will go there, for example. You can see that I can just start to create some little details here very easily. Again, same level of subdivision that we had, but it's not a modifier that managed it. Okay, good. Now I want to show you the dynamic topology. So the dynamic topology here, it's something that is destructive, so it's not something non-destructive. You will not come back to it after. So here, now you can see that I will change the level of subdivision by using the tool by itself. So let's go here. When I enable dynamic topology, you can see that I have triangles everywhere. Before I had quads, now it's triangles. So I will just show you here with the quick shortcuts into the quick favorites here. Nothing there. Here, please. Okay. So in sculpt mode, you can see that now I have only triangles everywhere. But what is good with this tool is that when you make a stroke, okay, with dynamic topology, it will create new topology if you have the good tool. Okay. Okay, you see if I zoom out, I will add less topology. If I zoom in, I will add more. So it changes relatively to the size of the tool here. So that's what is good, and you can sculpt infinite details with that. So let's say by default you have your basic topology. If you want to zoom and add more definition into something, you can now just by create the right stroke, okay? And so it will really create the topology that you need for your stroke. Basically, it's a very, very good tool, but be careful. It can take a little of your video RAM, so be careful with that. But a big advantage of this is that you can really create crazy shapes without have this problem of subdivision that we had. Like for example here, let's say I would like to add here, where is it? The crab, the elastic hook, snake hook, yeah, it's here. Did change a little this behavior. Okay, so here you can see that now I can really add some shape like this, and it will create the geometry while I'm sculpting. Okay, you can change the dynamic topology here size, so you want more detail size, you increase the number of pixels, and you can play with relative details. So here you can see that if I zoom in, I add more subdivision, okay? Or you can play with constant detail in case you need a constant detail here, okay, you will just play with a number here. So let's say you have a part that you like into your model. So let's say this part is a good density for me. And now it did take this density and will add it at each stroke now. So now I'm sure that I have enough density to create some tentacles or to create some horns, something like that, very easily. You see that it adds the geometry directly. So it's very powerful for really change drastically your object, okay? So here I will just remove the wireframe to see a little the model. Same for the neck. Here we can really change this and add the geometry that we want. But you see that for big strokes like this, if your tool is big, you see that here it will slow down when you use the constant detail. So in that case, come back to the relative detail. It will be easier to manage a big shape, for example. Okay, it will add very low geometry, but it's not really that important. And then after you can add more geometry here and smooth it in if needed. Okay. So this is a very powerful tool. In my case, I use it only when I make horns like that or tentacles or things like that. The cons of this tool is that it slows down a little the computer. So you really need a really good graphic card, and yeah, so it computes a lot when you use that. Be careful of this. So this is the dynamic topology. And this was the second option to add some geometry for your mesh. Okay, so we have a last one that I want to show you. And in my opinion, it's the one I use the most actually to add some geometry. We have the only con of this one is that it's destructive. But honestly, it's really something easy to play with. So let's say, for example, you are in with a tool like this. For example, let's come with a monkey again, and see one of the cons of this maybe. So we come back into sculpt mode directly here. And let's say you like this kind of shape and you want to add some details into it directly. You remesh here everything. So remesh will give you a new shape and it will add geometry everywhere into the mesh. You have the level of details here that shows here. So if I go to 0.1, for example, and remesh it again, okay, no, 0.01, sorry. Okay, and remesh it again, okay, you can see here that we have this kind of level of details. Okay, so now I can start to sculpt directly. Okay, so into the wireframe view, you can see here how it looks basically. Okay, so this one is a very quick way to add some new level of division into your model. So you have two shortcuts to remember for that. You have the R. It's kind of shortcut to go here and show this voxel size into a more visual way, let's say. So R will show directly here the level, and you can click and drag to increase or decrease the level of subdivision that you want to add into your mesh. Okay, for example, let's say in the beginning of the sculpt, if you want to just create shapes, you will just use something like that, and Control R will apply the size that you did want. Okay, so R to change the size, Control R to apply the remeshing. Very easy to work with, and what is good with that is that it's useful for multiple shapes. Like let's say, for example, you want to create an arm shape. Okay, very easily. So let's go with that. With let's take a round cube. I like the round cube to work. I will increase the number of arc, or maybe not that much. We will keep it like that, okay? And let's say you would like just to create with SZ, for example, a shape like this, okay? Good. And now we will create a duplication of this, okay? And you want another SZ. Okay, maybe this one a little more too, okay? And now you will start to create the global shape of an arm, okay? So let's say here we will have this. With another here round cube, I can just play and add here, let's say this shape here to create this, okay? And you can add more to start to create the muscles if needed, but let's say we just start with this, okay? Select the entire one like this, make a rotation. So just adding a simple shape like that, okay? Just with basic objects. I duplicate this one, maybe create shape like this, okay? And then after you are happy with this shape and you want to start to create muscles on it or really change the global topology, so now you can go in sculpt mode. And even if you have some shapes that overlap each others, that cross each others like this, the remesh option will work perfectly. So with Control R, you see directly you have the basic shape that you want ready to sculpt. You can after play with the different tools that you have here to create this. So now I come back into wireframe mode. Maybe I will come back here and increase a little with R the size, decrease a little the size to have more definition, and with Control R I just go there. I start to smooth down everything just like that, and it will be very easy for me to start the global shape of this, okay? And then after I can play with the muscles and everything. Okay, so I did smooth everything down here, good. And then after maybe I will start to play with the tools that I have, maybe the clay strips. The clay strips is good for adding some muscles. And so you will start to create more definitions into the shape that you want, okay? So here maybe we will add something like this to add more definition. Here maybe something like that. Okay, and you will create more organic shapes just like this. So I do it very quickly and strong just to show you how it works. And after I smooth down everything, okay, just to have more organic shape. Sometimes you need to change the level, okay? So let's say, for example, here you want to increase the level, the global level. You come back and when you make a big change, like for example this, you just make a Control R, another one, and it will recreate the shape that you need and the new subdivision to play with, okay? So it's quite easy to work with that, and that's why I really like to play with these settings here. So now we can draw a little the shapes of the muscles just like this, okay? For example, for sure here I do it really quickly, but just with the Control R and smooth down again, you will start to see the good shape of a muscle appear here, for example. Okay, and then after you just have to continue this kind of sculpting just like this. So this one is a very powerful method. Let's say, for example, you work into characters. You can play with this kind of models. So you remember here into the demo files, so we have the asset bundles here, the human meshes here, for example. So you can just open the file, for example, here, see the different characters that you have, and here it's perfect base meshes just to play for sculpting. Like, for example, you just select all these ones here, you make a Control C, you go into your interface here, your basic interface, you remove that one and make a Control V. You will have your object ready oh, I didn't select all the fingers. But what is good with that, and it's that if you want to select an arm like this with the hand, for example, and you apply everything here, okay? Apply all. Is there anything that doesn't work well? Okay, you have to make it single user in that case. Okay, so just use this tool here. So in that case, you make Control A here and you apply visual geometry to mesh just like this. And with Control J, you will have an entire one like that. So what is good now, if I come back to sculpt mode, just be careful of the scale. Yeah, apply everything into it. Apply all transforms. It's always good. Okay. Good, and Shift N to recalculate the normals. Now you can come back into sculpt mode here and start to remesh this, okay, with the level that you need. So here it needs something far less big. So we go with Control R, with R, sorry. So we just use R like this. And just with Control R, now you make your remesh. Start to sculpt into that, okay? So imagine the gain of time just to have your simple shape to start to sculpt with, okay? So it will be far easier to work with that. Okay, so that's the way usually you use this tool, the Control R and the R for the remesh option. So a very powerful one, and that's my favorite usually when I use sculpting. Now for the next video, we will see a little the basic tools that you will use often, the more often. Maybe some we will not use them, but at least the basic ones that we need to know how to use. So this will be the topic of the next video.